Hi, everyone. All protocols duly observed. My name is Adamu Bala. I'm here to present our paper with co-author Zia-Ul-Haq Tukur Bello. The paper is titled Generating Automated Land Use Taxes in Kano State, Nigeria, using Cadastral Records and Geospatial Information System. So the paper outline is as follows: introduction, materials and methods, results and analysis, then conclusion and recommendation. Kano State is one of the most populous and commercial hubs in the country. A lot of commercial and other business activities takes place, especially within the metropolis. And land use tax collection generate a lot of revenue to the government, which leads, of course, to the good governance. So before now, existing methods of tax collection in the state have been tedious, slow, time-consuming, and prone to errors and corruptions, among other difficulties being encountered. This paper explains how the cadastral survey records were utilized to generate land use charges for various land use categories within Kano metropolis. Adoption of these methods of land use tax collection has since its inception witnessed an upward inflow of land revenue generation in the states, which serves as a source of monies for improving good governance and carrying out infrastructural projects. The study area is Kano metropolis, which is within the Kano state itself. The Kano state is one of the 36 states in Nigeria. It is the most populous states in the country, according to our last population of 2006. The state was created in 1967 and covers an area of 20,131 kilometers square. And the metropolis, which is the study area, has 8 local governments. The figure 1 shows maps of Kano states within Nigeria, and the figure 2 shows the 8 metropolis covering about 8 local governments, rather the state metropolis covering about 8 local governments within the states. These are the materials and methods used for this research. We use the survey plans, layout composite survey plans, intelligent chart sheets, topo maps, high resolution satellite images, scanners, computer sets, digitizing tablets, and Python library, among other materials. Then there are different sources of data that were utilized for this project. Of course, the main source is the data gotten from the Kano State Bureau for Land Management through the Department of Cadastral, Survey, and GIS. The majority of data were in analog methods, which had to be scanned, georeferenced, so that it can be converted to the digital form. Then most of the data were acquired from the ground or field survey, and in some cases, aerial photographs dated as far back as 1970. As the continuation of the methods, the processing, the topo maps and layout composite survey plans were scanned with a very high dot per inch pixel camera. About 50,000 land parcels were captured and attributed. These land parcels, of course, include different categories of land use, from industrial, commercial, and residential. Various land use categories were assigned. Domain table of values was created to incorporate these rates and to appropriately assign them according to their land use, purpose, location, and density. A comprehensive geospatial template map was generated and served to every parcel location as demand. Land use charges from 1999 to 2015 were classified as recovery and calculated cumulatively, whereas the year 2016 upward, that is to date, which is 2023, were calculated independently. The entire attribution process conformed with the geospatial database schema based on the names of the plot's owner, plot number, location, As we can see, the figure 4 shows the digitized and attributed survey data in the ACMAF with the various land parcels in red color. Figure 5 shows the scan sheet of composite survey plan, which was used in the course of the project. And figure 6 shows the results of Python codes used for adding attribute field data into the database, because some codings were created for the purpose of adding such data or calculation of different land use taxes. With the inception of the topology era, the land use fabrics were used and migrated. That is, the parcels were migrated into the land use fabrics, and algorithms 1 to 4 were made and subsequently transformed into the programming language Python. That is equation number 1, land use charges equals to GR plus TR plus PT plus IMDC, where the GR is the ground rate, the TR is the tenement rate, which is equal to the property value at 0.12%, and the PT is the taxed or property taxed, which is pegged at 0.17. LUC is the total land use charge for a particular year. And of course, the IMDC is the infrastructure maintenance charges, which are assigned fixed for residential areas, industrial area, and commercial areas. 0.12% for TR and 0.15% for the PT were assigned for commercial and industrial lands with taxes. Figure 7 shows the connection of folder, geodatabase, picture class, dataset, and topology, which were done in the ArcGIS. Whereas figure 8 shows the zero error topology in the data processing, because of course, topology has to do with the relationship between one parcel to the other. So we have to make sure that the topology error was avoided. Result and analysis. Figure 9 is the automated land use charges computation templates, which were generated from the codings created in the land use fabrics. As you can see, the figure 10 is the sample of demand notice generated for industrial property for the year 2023, which is the notice given to the owners of such properties located within the industrial area for them to be able to pay their land use charges as when due. And figure 11 is also a demand for the residential properties for several years, which are given to the individual owner of landed properties to pay their land use charges. And figure 12 is a sample of demand notice generated for commercial properties from 2022 to 2023. The demand notice are of different categories because their charges are of course different. So the charges for the industrial areas cannot be the same thing as that of residential and the commercial areas. Figure 13 is the sample of GIS attribute data converted to the Excel sheet, because of course the database created in the GIS environment can always be exported to Excel and sometimes print in hard copy for other purposes. Figure 14 is a table of land use charge tax from the year 2026 to 2023. Figure 15 is a statistical chart of monthly land use charge taxed from the year 2016 to 2023. As we can see, there are various charges based on the month of the year. Like for January of the year 2026, the tax were almost below 50 million. And if we look at for the month of same January of 2021, the tax hit almost 200 million. So these are the results generated from the database created in the GIS environment. Figure 16 is a statistical chart of annual land use charge tax from the year 2016 to 2023. We can see there are significant increase from 2016 up to 2019, which declined downward for the year 2020 and move upward for 2021. This was, of course, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to the closure of most of the activities. So that was the reason for such. The analysis show an upward flow of land uses revenue from the year 2016 to 2022. The year 2017 rather, marked the beginning of the increase, which significantly increased from 513,261,462 naira and 93 kobo to 1,615,456,611 naira and 75 kobos, 3 times as much as the year 2016. The year 2027 witnessed a further increase in land use tax generation from 1.6 billion recorded in 2017 to almost 2 billion recorded in 2018. There was a slight decrease from the 2 billion in 2018 to a figure also 2 billion in 2019, resulting in a deficit of almost 40 million. However, it was an excellent result. The 2020 recorded 1.4 billion, an all-time low land use tax generation in the comparison with the year of automation, which is 2017. This was, of course, due to the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown of all activities in the state, the nation, and the entire globe, which I have already earlier mentioned. Interestingly, the first quarter of the 2020 started very well, importantly with the declaration of ease on the lockdown in the state and the nation. The figures rose from September to December of the same year, 2020. In 2021, the figures in land use tax revenue generation returned to 2 billion, 8 million, 518,674. This must have included some land use tax recovery that was defaulted in the year 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, or of course, finally, in 2022, the land use tax charges were reduced to less than 2 billion naira to about 1.7 billion. Despite this drop in the figures generated for the year 2022, it was very significant as most of the payment made were only for the current year 2022, with less recovery of the previous year's land use taxes. The 2023 was just beginning as of the time of carrying out this research, and only 2,255,855,653.51 amount was generated as of February 2023, which is statistically inadequate for any inferences. It should be noted that the enforcement for land use tax generation was not initiated in the year 2023. This was probably due to the proximity to the election, and the government was most probably avoiding the public threat of losing votes, because citizens in most cases may not want to pay the taxes. So with the coming of the election, government has to be careful how they enforce the collection of the taxes from the citizens. In conclusion, this paper has significantly demonstrated the digital power of geospatial tools in the conversion and processing of cadastral survey records for the automation of land use tax generation in Kano State, Nigeria. Using cadastral record and GIS, automated land use charge computation templates, geospatial database for land-related taxes, and spatial database Spatial data transformation / conversion, that is from analog to digital for cadastral survey, cadastral records were achieved. The techniques show an upward inflow of land revenue generation from 2017 to 2023, while the year 2016 was used as a benchmark to show the magnitude of revenue generation before the start of these automation techniques. The findings reveal a rise in revenue generation at 400% increment from 2016 to 2023. The techniques has proven to be very fast, efficient, and reliable for the computation of all land-related taxes using complex mathematical algorithms embedded in the Python compared to the analog and tedious methods that was in use before these automation forces. Of course, this method eliminated the difficulty in the identification of properties at their various locations for issuance of demand notice by the map template. The same techniques can be applied anywhere as far land use tax generation is concerned. This is our research, and we thank you for listening to our research, and we wish everyone a happy working week in Orlando, and it's nice to meet all of us. Thank you.